Ah, dang it. You know, I got this Anet A8 over a year ago. Actually, I got it in the mail and I assembled it just before that woodworking thing in Skytook, Oklahoma, where I got to meet Jimmy DeRista and all kinds of other YouTube personalities. That's an interesting time. And, I haven't had any troubles with this. This has been my best printer so far, and, I've paid the least for this thing. Out of compared to my other ones. But, you hear stories, you see the news articles, everybody talks about, these cheap printers and that this problem had been a problem, really. And I never really thought that this would actually happen. But, all well, I don't say all, but most of my prints have been, pretty small. At least, less than 8 or 10 hours. Well, here it is, December 22nd, and I've got a relative that likes gnomes. I did a chainsaw carving of a gnome, about 4 foot tall, 3.5, 4 foot tall, and she absolutely loved it. Her house is decorated with all kinds of gnome things, and I thought the perfect Christmas gift for her would have been these 3D printed Christmas elves, is what they're labeled as on Thingiverse. You know, so I'm trying to make 3 of these, and there's a lot of stringing going on. That's easily cleaned up. The cracking, that's a shame. These being ABS prints, and that's all I print with. That's why I've got the capped on tape on the bed here. But these 3 pieces alone printed all at the same time, and that took about 24 hours for them to all print together at the same time. And that maintaining that 80°C temperature on this looks like it's done its toll to it. So let's go ahead and modify this just like everybody else has been doing. I'm actually pretty lucky that this didn't catch on, the whole thing didn't catch on fire because of this one spot. Luckily there's enough char in here that it actually disconnected the connection to the bed. But I was pretty lucky on that, considering that in the last couple of days I saw on Facebook that somebody's printer caught fire. Now, I didn't get the whole story behind it, whether or not if it was just the 3D printer or if anything else caught fire in the house, but I did see that it was burnt tip to toe. So yeah, I totally definitely lucked out on this. Now, I'm only out here in my work shed, and my wife doesn't want me having these 3D printers in the house because of that. She heard some news. I've told her articles about the safety of 3D printing, and she might be afraid of the harmful chemical fumes and such. And so, I built this shed some years ago and set up all my 3D printers out here. And of course, this is my first trouble I've had with this one anyways. First safety bit of trouble. You know, I've had plenty of other troubles with my uh, what was that RepRap Pro Mendel multicolor machine over here. I call it my pretty pink printer, and I use the pink filament to make it. And that's back whenever I was gonna have a printing farm built, and I thought I was gonna 3D print 3D printers and sell those. Well, that was just a whole bunch of wasted money for all of that, especially considering that I paid $800 for that machine. But even that was cheaper than the $1,200 I spent trying to build my first machine. You know, it is just like that. Just like the Mendel multi-material, but it only had the one nozzle, one color, and you know I could have upgraded it after also, but you know that ended up not working out to my favor. So here we are, you know, a year and a half later of using this, and you know, a little bit of a crispy critter here. Let's see. Let's check that out. Yeah. That's the negative side. And here's the positive side. It got a little bit warm, but it didn't get as toasty warm as this side. So, but here we are, year and a half later, and you know, I had plans of doing this from the beginning. You know, upgrading everything that needed to be upgraded, especially for safety. I still haven't upgraded my firmware on this, and I know I'm probably going to get a few comments saying that I should and need to and all this and that. And well, I guess I might do that. Although, you know, I'm always afraid of it not giving the same performance, you know, the same 3D printing the same quality as it has been after I upgrade the firmware. So, but that's just a chance I'm gonna have to take, especially for safety's sake. So, and I'm sure I can find somebody's quality profile for these. I'm sure somebody's already got it set up. That way I don't have to go into the settings and change anything. You know, normally I don't use wire strippers. These were actually hand-me-downs from my dad. These things are well used. Absolutely flimsy. I usually use the razor knife, and I just roll the tip against my finger. And no, I've never cut my finger that way, because I'm not slicing with the knife. You're just rolling it over it. You know, there's always that danger that, you know, you might slip and get it. The biggest danger with using a razor knife is cutting through any of these wires, you know, these multi-strand wires, and then you don't have enough wires for a good connection, and that right there can create cause problems in the future too. Well, if I pick up the whole machine and tip it upside down, I'm probably going to end up breaking a piece of that acrylic. So let's do it the right way and actually take the bed off. You know, here it is, 12:05 a.m. and I'm in here messing with my 3D printer. Okay. So it looks like I can have 2 leads from this connected. So the 2 outside leads and the 2 inside leads, or well, the 2, let's say left and 2 right. So these 2 out here and these 2 out here can be connected to the positive and the negative. And luckily they are labeled. So these 2 over here are the negative and these 2 are the positive. Now, because I remember which side was burnt up, you know, even if that wasn't labeled like it is, this pin is still pretty crispy looking, so I would still know that that side is the negative. Alright, so let's see my old soldering pen. Let's see if I can go ahead and remove this connector. Now I can go ahead and just solder to the outside, that way I have something to actually screw to. You know, I might just do that. But what I meant screw to is put like a zip tie, drill a hole through this and put a zip tie through it, through the wiring harness, that way it doesn't go anywhere. I think that's what I'm going to do. You know, whenever Radio Shack ended up going out of business here in town, I ended up getting a lot of their stuff, like that heat gun. That was on sale. I think I got about $3,000 worth of stuff for $300. So I got a lot. I got a lot to handle all kinds of projects. But we will tin our leads on the wire, just like we tinned leads of this plug. Okay. Probably not the best solder job in the world, but I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just getting a couple of views, probably. Alright, take a look at my thermistor still down here. Looks like everything's still quite alright. You know, if you know, all the used Kapton tape that comes off usually ends up down here on my desk, just to help out with especially whenever I'm leaning over at soldering. Like, here's a clump of solder right here. Instead of burning my desk, you know, I could pick it up and reuse that. You know, I can keep this here back and forth, you know, rub it in, and I'm not burning my desk. So that's one little handy thing. I know it looks tacky, it looks terrible, but it helps me from having to replace my desk. And you know, if I'd have made a real nice desk like some people do, you know, I'd feel real bad about burning it, and I'd still probably end up having to put Kapton tape down to protect it. Alright, let's go ahead and put this thing back together. And so, I'm not sure if you can see the I'm pretty sure you can't see the rigidity in this you know, the plate, the base plate and the hot plate don't have any play in them after I tighten that down. There was a lot of play whenever it didn't have any of the spring on it. So wing nuts are on here. Now I can plug it back in and home it. Well, let's just home all then. Now, the great thing about this is that it homes all the way outside the build plate. Oh yeah, we're way too close. Way too high. Alright. Now, if this was connected to my computer, I can turn the motors off and then I'd be able to move it freely. So everything is rigid in place because it's still holding its position. So let's go ahead and unplug it. Alright, so there we have it. Strainer leaf and a better connection on the heated build plate. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish off my Christmas elves, the gnomes. Hopefully I can at least get one done, that way I can give it to her for Christmas and then just give the other two. I don't know, one for each Christmas maybe, but I was hoping to get 3 done. I might still be able to, but I'm kind of doubting it. But to be upgraded on this will be the firmware eventually, but I was saving the firmware to be done whenever I add the Z-probe sensor. I bought this when I purchased the Anet A8, and I had every intention of installing it then during first assembly, but I never got around to it. And of course, you know, you saw me unplug it whenever I first came in here, and I've already unplugged it and plugged it back in a couple of times, but I've been meaning to install this switch. So, you know, it'd be great to have a nice little rocker switch. Go ahead and reach back there and flip it on whenever I need to, instead of actually having to unplug it. And since I'm working on that, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did for my Pretty Pink printer and install the 12-volt power supply so that I can power things either through the USB port or use the card 12-volt cigarette lighter type outlet power source plugins that I had installed on the other one. So those are just a few of the upgrades that I need to complete with this. But this safety upgrade for this is, well, I can't say it's complete. Let's go ahead and turn it on and test it. So up here, quick settings. I already homed everything, so that's where I got my thing at. Alright, preheat. Okay. Wait here. Let's see how fast this gets up to temperature. I can see that the LED light for my build plate is on, so I know that's heating up. course, I couldn't just look at the temperatures up there increasing, so I know that's heating up from that. Alright, well, everything seems to be heating up quite nicely. Let's go ahead and start print on our next piece of our Christmas elf. Alright, so how do I get my prints to stick so good considering they're ABS? Well, we just go ahead and rub the old beauty cabinet and get our little cotton square. Let's fold it twice. That way we're not dirtying up all of one side. This can be reused a couple of times. Use our good old 100% acetone. And let's get all them nasty oils from my grubby little fingers here. Let's go ahead and clean those oils up. Get everything off of there. Now, do not, this is a hot surface and you're putting acetone over the top of this. Now, the vapors are going to, evaporate, and, you might breathe those in. That's definitely a bad thing. So don't lean over it whenever you're cleaning it. Now, I adjust as it's printing, which a lot of people really probably wouldn't like. People got their own way of doing things, so I just try to let them be and hope that they let me be. So since I print using ABS, I print everything with a brim. So this gives me plenty of time to adjust my Z height. Oof, I'm still smelling that acetone coming off of this. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and let this print, and I'll see you guys later. I'm far from finished, pretty much with all my projects, and I hope as a maker you're far from finished too. Just go ahead and keep working on things, and eventually you get there. And just like me, a little thing at a time, I'll eventually get to where I want to be. Of course, I'm sure I'll never be finished, just like most of you out there. Never be finished with projects that you're working on. Well, an individual project you might finish, but don't quit making. Don't be finished with any ideas or anything like that. So, hope you enjoyed this video, and take care.